I'm here with the great Max to talk about Soulfly, Chama, out October 24th on Nuclear Blast. It's always a pleasure to see you. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. I always look forward to a new record of Soulfly, Cavalera Conspiracy, Go Ahead and Die, whatever it is. So at least we get a chance to talk. How's things with you?
Everything good, man. Just excited, super excited for the record, for um, everything that's actually, we just spent 10 weeks in Europe touring with Soulfly, Nail Bomb. So I'm back home for a little bit. Yeah, but mostly like very proud of the record and very excited. And it's always great to talk to you. And whenever I have a new record out, I know we're gonna talk, you know.
Yeah, I always
So,
look forward to these moments. So when I
yeah.
when I heard the record, when I got the record, obviously the first thing that I look at is at the title of the album. Chama has a little bit of a double meaning in Portuguese. It could mean flame, but it could also mean like you're calling someone. What does this title represent? What does it mean to you?
To me, it's more on the side of the flame. I like the idea of having that inspiration coming from uh, esoteric things like flame. And that's like I think with the album cover, especially because of the Apache Crow dancers with all the fire around. I mean that cover really captured the sound of the record, and and of course also. It's funny because the name of the record it comes from Alex Pereira. He's a UFC fighter that comes out on UFC with his walkout song is Itzari from Roots.
Mhm.
And I remember watching that with my son Zion and having the goosebumps. And it was like a moment, like this moment had a big impact on me. And then I watch him and he says he's in the fight he says Shama, and I really like this moment, and I told Zion, let's call the record Shama. This is cool, it's Brazilian. It also means flame. It's a different name. It's my first record in Portuguese. Let's do this. It'll be cool, and I think it's cool that one moment can make you inspiration for a whole record. It's
Yeah,
incredible, like very, very cool when things like that happen in your life. But I think the record itself is very diverse inside of the record. You have many different things going on with some really cool guests and um, really tribal stuff, but also very modern, noisy shit around with it. I
I,
think like a lot of people picked up on that.
I agree with you. Let me go back to that point you made about Alex. I was showing my son "Storm the Gates," the song, and I was we were talking about the title of the record, and he goes, "Dad, there's this UFC fighter Brazilian guy. He always says that word Chama all the time." And I had no idea who he was talking about. So because he watches way more UFC than me, so he was like, maybe it comes from that because he's the only guy that I know that always says that word all the time and stuff like that. So it's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely connected to that, and it's I don't know, like kind of like maybe my way to, uh, I was so thankful for him using my song as his walkout music that like returned the favor. Like now, like now let me borrow your name, the thing that you say for my record. Yeah, I think it's cool. Like like inspiration, man. Comes from anywhere, everywhere, anytime. That's the beautiful thing about inspiration. It comes from the most unusual places sometimes. But yeah, I think it's very. For some reason, this is my most Brazilian record. I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling nostalgic at my old age. I'm missing my homeland a little bit, But you have, favela dystopia. You have
Shama, the
all
closing track.
Chama is full of Brazilian and even always was, always will be, which is an Australian name. But inside of the song, I sing it all in Portuguese. Um, so yeah, this is like it turned out to be quite a cool record full of Brazilian references and yeah, I think it's definitely like a unique a very Soulfly record. I think like it's maybe like the one I've been trying to do for a long time, and For some reason didn't do it. It was kind of like I felt this is the right time to do this record.
I was going to ask you about that because when you look at the last two records, let's say look at Ritual, you look at Totem, this album sounds completely different. It's going in a different direction from where those two records took us. I
Yeah.
felt like this album, at least to me, it almost felt like a catch-all, almost like a greatest hits of sound of everything that you've ever worked on. Because there's certain songs that have a nail bomb vibe. There's certain songs that have a go ahead and die vibe. There's certain songs that have a Sepultura vibe. Certain songs have a Cavalera conspiracy vibe. There's a little bit of even Fear Factory. There's some industrial elements in there as well. There's a little bit of everything that you've ever done. Do you feel like this album kind of represents your sonic taste palette?
Yeah, I think I think you're quite right to say that, but also I feel that one of the things that we did different on the record was I gave the uh I gave the production job for Zion. I produced records before like Prophecy and Dark Ages, and I told him I said I don't want to produce this thing because let me tell you why. If I produce it, it's gonna sound like just my vision for the whole thing, and trust me, you don't want that. I want it to be challenged. I want to and I told him like I don't want to like a big name producer. I want a new producer, somebody that's hungry, motivated, is inspired, and somebody that's gonna challenge me. So I told Zion like challenge me. Like if you hear a riff, tell me I can make it better than that riff. Don't settle for the first thing I show you. So that was cool. We kind of went back and forth in this, and it was kind of funny recording. And a couple times we was even like, really, you don't like this? This riff is pretty fire, man. Uh, but yeah, I think in the end he did an amazing job on the production. I think like there's noise sprinklers all over throughout the whole record. And the bit and then the team that we assembled between him, John, the engineer, and Arthur mixing was like a really cool team. And then he had a lot of cool guests like Dino, for example. That was quite cool having Dino because Dino played for Soulfly for
Yeah,
a
yeah.
couple. He joined the band for a couple of tours, and I told him like when I do the next record, you coming in at least for one song. You're coming on board. You're the first guest that we already have confirmed. And then the other guest came a little bit later. But yeah, I think No Pain Equals No Power. It's quite a unique song on the record. It has a very different feel from the rest of the album. It feels like a standout kind of track a little bit.
Yeah, I honestly I feel like you can say that almost about every song because then you have one with Michael Amott of Arch Enemy there, which is I think one of the outside of the intro, I think it's one of the shortest tracks on the album. And the
Yeah.
guitar playing on that track, the whole track is absolutely like ripping from
Yeah.
from the beginning. There's a lot of chaos in it, but great guitar sound taking you in so many different directions. How the hell do you pack so much shit in such a short period of time?
Yeah, this song was really cool because it was very unorthodox the way we made this song. I think we recorded in a certain way, but then we sent it to Arthur and we told Arthur to Frankenstein the shit out of it, like really mess with it, like grab a new beginning, change the middle, change the end, and then he sent it back to us and then I sang on top of it, and then we send it to Michael to put the leads on top of it. So it was kind of like a chaotic song. Like I never done a song like that in any of my records. I never done it. It was crazy. And then when I listened to the final thing, I was exactly my feeling was just like yours. Like holy shit, what is this? This is fucking crazy. And I think the drumming is pretty good on it too. Like it's pretty strong drumming. Guitar is really cool.
I honestly think this is probably one of the best drumming sounds that you guys have had on a Soulfly record.
Yeah, it was, it's always try kind of hard to, especially because Zion doesn't play with, there's no click tracks in this record. We don't play through a click track. So it's all live, so it's all live drums, live performance. And when you do that, it makes a bit more difficult for engineers, mixers, producers to get the right sound, but also I think it also sounds very organic because of
Mhm.
that, because of the not having the track, the click track. It's real live, like a real live band. This is recorded like back like when I used to do, old Sepultura records, like no click tracks, let's fucking go. If it speeds up or slow down, we live it with it, and that's the beauty of it. And I think like I think Zion playing really has improved a lot, especially on this record. The drumming is really step up big time. And I'm very pleased with the variety of the record, the diversity. It was really cool having like making an intro. We never had an intro before. Making this kind of ritualistic tribal intro thing with all this yeah, indigenous feelings, yeah, it was definitely a fun record to make, but at the same time challenge, very very challenge to me, um in many ways. I think it's like I challenge myself, and also a lot of self-control not to overdo things,
Mhm.
and kind of like less is more kind of approach, a little bit kind of like a punk mentality. That came in I think it came in focus on this record as well. But in the end of the day, I think like, yeah, I think it's definitely I like to think of this record as like a new chapter in Soulfly's life. This one is actually gonna bring a new beginning for us, because we just had a bunch of really great festivals. Soulfly is always really good live. We always play good. We have good shows, but I don't think we never really capture that on a record.
Mhm.
Maybe the early ones, maybe the first one. So that's what we're trying to do with Shama. It's capture that almost like animalistic vibe that you get from a Soulfly show. It's almost like I talked to some fans. Some of them refer to close to religious experience, mix of that with very animalistic, wild tribal feelings. So trying to make a record that matches that the live power. It was, I think, was what we were trying to do.
I felt that on the record. I got the album yesterday. I think I played it already from start to, I mean, it's not a long record. It's 33 minutes, but I think I've played it maybe 6 or 7 times, something like that. I've listened to it a lot. And when my son and I were talking about it, I was telling him this album feels very punk because the songs are short, the album is short, the topics and the lyrics are very punk. There's an attitude. Maybe punk is not the right word, attitude. There's a certain attitude with this record that for anybody who's seen Soulfly live, I think this album feels super organic. Like it's one of those records that my impression, you guys went into the studio, you pressed record, whatever came out, and that's what we're going with. It just has that organic feel to it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think I don't know. I like that idea of having a shorter album, especially like this day and age where people's attention spans are
Sure.
shit. They don't care. They press play and skip in like 10 seconds. uh but I think it's I would, my whole argument for the record was I would rather have somebody go all the way to the end of the record and wanted to play again than somebody going all the way and be like, okay, I'm done. I had enough. I don't want to hear this again. Uh, so it was kind of like that. I was hoping that people would listen to the whole thing and be like, oh, okay, let's go back to the beginning. Let me try this thing one more time. And maybe it's one of the records that maybe you also need a couple of different listeners to pick up on things. Like I think there's some really like ear candy spread out on Favela Dystopia, which is like pretty much a breakdown in three songs. That feels like it's three songs in one.
Hmm.
Um, and even Black Hole Scum, which is a combination of making fun of Soundgarden and Napalm Death in the same song. That
Yeah,
was
I got that reference. I thought that was really funny.
I couldn't resist. I couldn't resist. Because the original song was called "Silence of the Scum." And I was like, that's cool, but maybe something like Black Hole Scum. And I kind of just joke about it, and it kind of like everybody was like, "Yeah, that sounds cool. That's catchy." That's and of course, I'm not insulting Soundgarden by no means. I love Soundgarden and I love Napalm Death, so it's a homage for both of those bands.
I think it would
But
make a great
I could
T-shirt
cover it
too.
pretty big. What's that?
I think you guys can make a great T-shirt out of it.
Right, a great T-shirt. It's a great name.
Great name.
But the song itself might be one of the longest ones on the album.
Mhm.
That one actually like um, has a longer has a really full ending. The slow down part when everything the breakdown comes back twice, and the second time around is even slower than the first time. Um, and it's got this kind of bouncy. I think it's more influenced by some of the stuff I listen to at the moment. More like on a hardcore field, like Kublai Khan and um, maybe even um, I don't know, old hate breed. It's got this just chun 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 chun. I always like riffs like that, almost like Helmet. Almost like cut and go kind of riff. Um, to me, it was kind of an exercise in challenge myself as a riff maker. How much more different riffs I can make that I could bring to the table for this record that sounds a little bit different than what I already have done. Um, and that was actually pretty cool to challenge yourself like that. And of course, no pain equals no power. That's got the funny story because we worked with Dino on that song, and I told Dino, I say you gotta give me your best riff ever, like not your second best, your third best, like your first best riff. I want the riff that 1 year from now you're gonna call me and say, I regret giving you this riff. I should have saved it for Fear Factory. That kind of feeling, like regret. Yeah, I want him to regret give me the riff. And then when he bust out the opening riff, I was like, that's it, Dino. This is your best riff ever, man. This is right up there with the manufacturer. um and that was cool, like the whole vibe of having friends come over recording. We got Todd from Nails. We got Gabe from Unto Other. A great band, Unto Others.
Mhm.
No Warning band sang on it. I thought it was really cool that No Pain, No Power has the Max vibe. Yes, have these melodic vocals in the middle that takes you somewhere else, almost like somewhere that Soulfly has never even been before. Um, Quite cool, quite melodic. I thought it was like something that was new for us for the record as well. So it was fun to do that. Hopefully we get to do a couple videos for all these songs. It'd be great.
I have to ask you this because I love the record, but I was left with a huge question mark on my mind because I think I understand why you guys did it, but I want to get your opinion on it. The track listing. Why did you guys, Shama, in my opinion, is perhaps the biggest, most textured song that the record has. But before that, you have Soulfly 13, which is an instrumental track that comes in as an outro that builds in into its own song. Uh, did you consider putting Soulfly 13 at the end of the record and maybe putting Shama a little bit more in the middle? Because Shama almost feels like a bonus track. It feels like the record ends and then Shama comes in as a bonus track.
We had many discussions about that, and I remember actually talking to Arthur. He mixed the record. Um, we went back and forth. In fact, we have at one point, Favela Dystopia was going to be the first song after Indigenous Inquisition. We end up switching to Storm the Gates. What I like about that, and I see your point and your argument, but I think what I kind of like about that is that is quite unique and new, having the title track be the last track on the album. Almost like you almost like challenge the listener to before you finish the whole record, you have to check out number 10 because it's the name of the record. Yeah, like almost like you have to try this before you done with the record. Um, and I think the way it flow coming out of because always was, always will be was it's kind of like Godflesh, Nail Bomb. He has we have like electronic drums, real heavy riffs, uh, Brazilian lyrics, and then you have the Soulfly 13, very esoteric, mystical type song, with all these chantings in the background. And then yeah, I agree. I think it's a great song. I love Shama. I think it's a cool song. Maybe it would have been cooler earlier, but I also like that it closes the record. It finished the record different from everything I ever done. So maybe that's like something new that we were trying, something new for the record that we never tried before.
Yeah, when I was recording my review, I said that I would have had Shama earlier and I would have closed off with Soulfly 13. But as a listener, or maybe putting myself in your shoes, I could also understand why you guys did it. Shama being where it is with Soulfly 13 before, you're putting it a little bit on the pedestal. You know what I mean? Like you're setting that song apart in a way that forces, like you said, the listener to really go into it, which if it's in the middle of the album, that's not going to happen. It doesn't
Yeah,
have that same big impact. So it's like I see both sides of the coin. Do you know what I mean? It was
yeah,
just like it was so unorthodox to have that format, but then again, the album is very unorthodox. So
yeah. It is, and I think like we kind of did that on purpose. We kind of really wanted to try to do some things different this time, so it feels different somehow. Even the way we record the guitars, and with uh, a lot of attention spent on we record all the main riffs, and then we do a pass on that was just like pedal noises and stuff, and then we add some of those on top of the tracks. That's why if you listen to the record with headphones, I think you hear a lot of crazy fucking noise shit everywhere, and that's like I think that's where the modern of Shama comes in. That's what makes this record to me feel like is a modern record. It's a 2025 record rather than this record could have been released in 1999, Um yeah, I think it's kind of like we used to have this t-shirt back in the day, Soulfly, on the sleeve said tribal technology. And that's kind of like what the record feels to me a little bit like. Feels like tribal and technology together. You got all the tribal elements, all the percussion, and but then you have all the noises, all the fucking keyboards and pedals and all these fucking you know technological
machinery.
machinery on top of it that makes it very fucking weird, but exciting to me also as a fan. I don't know. I like to challenge myself as a musician. This is my 13th record with Soulfly. So many others with Sepultura. It feels good to be challenged. It's good. You're getting older and you should challenge yourself. It's nothing wrong there. I think it's cool.
I, I
Definitely fun to do it.
I agree with you, Max. I agree with you. I think it's nice to release an album that doesn't sound like every other album, that has its own fingerprint, if you will, and Shema definitely does. Max, always a pleasure to talk to you. I have so many more questions, but we'll leave it for another time when I see you because I know you have a busy schedule with interviews, and I don't want to take anybody else's time. By the way, you look amazing. I don't know what you're doing health-wise, but you look phenomenal. You look super
Thank
healthy. So
you.
continue to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
I love you and I love everyone in your camp. You guys are the absolute best. And I hope to see you, if not in Toronto, maybe at a festival in Europe. I travel to Europe a lot. I'm going to be at Wacken next year and I'm going to be at a bunch of other festivals. So maybe we'll cross paths at a festival in Europe at some point in time.
Sounds good, amigo. Um abraço.
Abraço, tchau, tudo, tchau.
Tchau, tchau.